Thanks for being here. You could be anywhere and you chose to be here. This is Lily, and this is Affirming Self. Guys, today we're talking about something that might sound simple on the surface, but if you've ever found yourself stuck in a conversation, feeling like you had to pick one side of your truth, you know it's not so simple. We're talking about the power of and in communication. This episode is about expanding your emotional language, your self expression, and your capacity for nuance. It's about what it means to hold both truth and tenderness, accountability and connection, honesty and compassion. And while this episode builds on our last conversation about communicating with men, it goes a layer deeper because I realized something. After I recorded that last episode, I went back and listened to it with fresh ears. And even though I know the power of and, I noticed I still used but to contrast moments where I could have chosen integration. I'm not sharing this from self doubt. I'm sharing it from devotion to alignment, to truth, to the woman I'm becoming. Because it's easy to talk about wholeness and harder to practice it in real time. So today, we're doing both reflecting and regrounding. Let's talk about what it means to speak from our wholeness, not from fear, not from fragmentation, from wholeness. Here's the thing. Either or feels clean. It feels certain. And when emotions are high, certainty feels safe. It's easier to say, I'm fine. I'm done. He's wrong. I'm over it. But what if you're not fine? What if you're not done? What if it's more complicated than blame or shame? We often default to extremes when we don't feel safe to hold the tension of complexity. But true connection lives in that tension. A few years ago, I was in a relationship where we cared deeply for one another. And we were dancing around some hard truths. There was this one conversation where I could feel myself holding back. Not because I didn't know what I needed to say, but because I was afraid of how it would land. I didn't want to risk losing the closeness we had. And so I swallowed my truth. I said part of it, the safer part of it. And for a while, that worked until it didn't. Because eventually, the unsaid always rises. More recently, in late 2024, I had a conversation with someone I had once imagined a life with. We were close friends at the time, both trying to protect what we had while wrestling with what others projected onto us. There was this moment where thought crossed my mind. What if we had followed our intuition back then? What would it look like now? And instead of pushing it down or spiraling internally, I chose to speak it out loud. I chose to name the tension, not for a reaction, but for a release. It wasn't easy, but I knew I was safe with him. I knew the friendship we had was built on truth and care. And even though his response was no, it was still the kind of no that honored me. That kind of honesty, exchanged without fear, allowed the friendship to keep its dignity. That's the power of and. I could be nervous and grounded. I could desire clarity and stay soft. I could hope for one answer and be okay with another. So let's make this real. What does it look like to speak from wholeness? To speak from and. Here are 5 everyday examples that model this in your communication. Number 1, combine truth with tenderness. This matters to me, and I want to talk about it gently. Not everything has to be all or nothing. Let your voice carry softness and certainty. Number 2, use and to regulate emotional tension. I feel hurt and I'm open to hearing your side. This creates a bridge, not a wall. Number 3, show appreciation and honesty. I love how much effort you've put in, and there's one area that still feels out of sync. This lets the other person know they're not being attacked, they're being invited into depth. 4, hold boundaries and connection. I need to step away right now, and I'm still committed to understanding each other. Boundaries don't have to mean distance. Sometimes they're what allow love to grow. Number 5, express dual emotions without shame. I'm nervous to share this, and I know it's worth saying. You can be scared and brave. You can be unsure and led. That's where your power is. Each of these examples creates space. They don't collapse the conversation into defense. They open it because they come from an integrated place. I want to acknowledge something. When you're used to fragmenting yourself, either or feels familiar. It gives you something to hold, a role to play. You're either the chill one or the confrontational one, the overthinker or the the overthinker or the avoider, the forgiving one or the one who finally walks away. But you are more than a role. You're more than a reaction. Earlier in the year, I had a moment where I felt myself collapsing into either or. I wanted to revisit something with someone who mattered to me, but my mind was spiraling with all the potential outcomes. What if I say this and it ruins everything? What if I wait too long and it never gets said? For a moment, I almost silenced myself, but I didn't because I realized I could be uncertain and still move with integrity. I could be vulnerable and still feel safe. That conversation helped me reclaim something, my voice, my self trust, my ability to live in the middle between hope and honesty. Let's bring this back to you. How often do you tell yourself, I shouldn't feel this way? Or, if I say this, it'll all fall apart. What if it's not true? What if you could feel conflicting emotions and stay rooted in love? What if the messiness of being human isn't a threat, but an invitation? When you stop abandoning parts of yourself to make communication cleaner, that's when your voice becomes powerful. Not loud, not dominant, not performative, powerful because it's whole. You're allowed to be soft and honest, disappointed and hopeful, grateful and needing more. Your truth is not too much. Your wholeness is not a burden. And when you communicate from that place, you give the people in your life a chance to meet you where you really are. Let me leave you with this. You are allowed to speak truth without performing it. You are allowed to be soft and strong. You are allowed to protect your peace and communicate with honor. You don't have to raise your voice to be powerful. You don't have to shrink yourself to be understood. You don't have to lead with fear to get your point across. The way you speak, when it's rooted in love and self-trust, in your divine feminine essence, has the power to invite growth, build trust, and reveal what's real. And that begins with your heart. Out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. Luke 6:45. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. Proverbs 31:26. Let's take a breath together. Inhale. And release. If this episode opens something in you, share it with someone you love. Send it to a friend. Take a moment to journal. Let this reflection remind you you can be honest and still be held. And if no one's told you lately, you're doing better than you think. You could be anywhere and you chose to be here. This is Lily, and this is Affirming Self. Wherever you are in the world, whether it be morning, noon, or night, I hope you have a good day. Until next time.